Hey there. So you're trying to cultivate human resilience, right? You're going to the gym, you think you're eating right, you think you're doing everything right in your life to become a more resilient person, and yet, despite all that, what's going on? You have low energy, you're catching every cold that goes around, and you're totally overwhelmed by events in life. Hi, I'm Dr. Symeon Rodger, and this channel is all about human resilience. And yes, when you go to cultivate resilience, it doesn't always turn out the way you think it's going to turn out. And there are concrete reasons for that. There can be many, but let's have a look at that and see if we can get you on a better path. Now, okay, you're going to the gym, you're eating right, that's great. So congratulations on cultivating your beach body, which is different from cultivating resilience. That doesn't mean that the two can't coincide. They actually can. And I'm not suggesting for a moment you stop exercising or stop eating right. It's all that is to say you're obviously missing something. So to find out what you might be missing, why don't we take a little bit of a journey into the world's primary health and longevity tradition, the oldest longevity tradition we know of on planet Earth. That is the Taoist longevity tradition from ancient China. So they've been at this for 5,000 years. Do you think they've learned a few things? Yeah, probably. So one of their great exponents back in, I think, about the 600s, was a medical doctor named Symeon. And one of the things that Dr. Sun said in his writings is he has an enigmatic line that says the following. So listen closely. It says, when the ocean of energy is full to overflowing, the mind is calm and the spirit is stable. And when that happens, he says, the body becomes calm and attains to years eternal. So let's go back. When the ocean of energy is full to overflowing, the mind is calm and the spirit is stable. Okay, what does that even mean? We do not have the vocabulary to understand that. We don't even have the worldview to understand that. So what did Dr. Sun mean? So the ocean of energy is your body's primary energy storage and transfer area down in your lower abdomen, right about where your navel is and the area below that. So that is the ocean of energy. And in fact, the entire purpose of disciplines like Qigong, which is Chinese energy work, or Tai Chi, or other internal martial arts like Bagua and Xingyi and whatever, is to fill the ocean of energy. That's what it's there for. You want to fill the ocean of energy. But to understand what that means, let's look at some of the wording around what Dr. Sun said in that couple of paragraphs where he has this material. So he says one of the things that's really important is combining energy and spirit. He says, when spirit and energy help each other, only then can you live long and not die. Spirit and energy help each other? Like, what the hell does that mean? Okay, well, we'll unpack that one too. So spirit is simply your mental attention. Okay, it's what you're focusing on. Spirit is your mental attention. Think of it that way. As for energy, the temporal expression of energy, the expression of energy in this world that he's referring to, is your breathing process. So in other words, simply when you pay attention to your breathing, that is combining energy and spirit. Very profound. So in other words, there are beneficial physiological and psychological and emotional effects when we combine energy and spirit, when we focus on our breathing. So keep that in mind. Because he says, when you do that, and you do this over a period of time, you'll go through what he calls the 5 phases of the mind. I'm not going to go through them all because there's a little too much detail there. But basically, to cut a long story short, the first phase of the mind is very agitated. It's not at all tranquil. And it's the kind of mind that people mostly in our civilization have, right? They're just frenetic. They're all over the place. And then you get down to phase 5. And in phase 5, the mind is utterly tranquil, no matter what's going on. It's calm and tranquil. And why is this important? Well, he said, first of all, you have to get to the 5th phase of the mind before you can enter the 7 phases of the body. And those 7 phases of the body are incredible because, as he says, once the mind enters that perfectly tranquil state and can stay there consistently, the body becomes almost a self-perpetuating longevity machine. Yeah, the effects on the nervous system, the energy system, the body chemistry are so profound at that point that the body stops tearing itself apart and starts building itself up. So, and that of course explains why we would want to do any of this and how it contributes to resilience. Because look at it this way, from a modern scientific point of view, when we do this, what we're doing is accomplishing several things. We're going from the sympathetic nervous system, which keeps us very stressed out and full of stress hormones, to the parasympathetic system, where we're deeply relaxed. That's one thing that's happening. In terms of brain waves, our brain waves are lowering. So that very frenetic person we talked about, who's in phase one of the mind, if you will, that person is in very high beta. That's where their brain waves are. We want to lower you, and you want to lower yourself, in other words, into low beta and alpha, and even beyond, depending what you're doing. So when that happens, of course, your body chemistry completely changes. Instead of being flooded with adrenaline and cortisol, you're being flooded with beneficial neurotransmitters, neurochemicals, and your body is building itself up again. So this is these are huge benefits, and you don't actually have to be permanently established in phase 5 of the mind to get these. You just have to get there even temporarily. So it's a really, really beneficial thing to do. But how do we in the West screw this up? Well, we're pretty good at it, because we're not used to living anywhere else but in our heads. We live in our heads. We think the body is a transportation system for the brain. And because of that, we don't make progress, because we live in our heads. And that's what, of course, keeps our brain hyperactive and keeps us in high beta and all that bad stuff. Now, of course, if you've ever done any Qigong, Tai Chi, yoga, you're a little bit familiar with getting back into your body. So that's one of the really important things, because this practice is going to take you into your body. The second thing we screw up is we simply haven't caught up to this ancient tradition. We haven't caught up to their discoveries, nor have we even caught up to what modern science is telling us about where in the body intelligence resides, because intelligence is not limited to the brain. There's the intelligence of the heart, the intelligence of the gut, which is, of course, the ocean of energy. So all of that's very important. We have to catch up. So, and the one thing, of course, the third way we screw this up is we approach this as yet one more thing to achieve by brute force. We're going to go out there, we're going to do it. Of course, that becomes very counterproductive and leads to suboptimal results and frustration. Now, if I can leave you with one thing to try, would you be up for that? One thing which is really simple to implement and can make a profound difference over time. And all I'm asking you to do is try it for about 10 minutes. Okay, think you can do that? It'll be a bit of a challenge. So what I want you to do is get used to combining energy and spirit. How will you do that? In other words, your mental attention and your breathing process. Well, it's fairly simple, actually. What it really means is when you're going to move, set aside 10 minutes. Maybe you're doing something in the kitchen or somewhere else. And when you're going to move, synchronize your movement, your physical movement, with your breathing. Doesn't matter where the inhale is or where the exhale is. Who cares? That won't actually matter. Yes, people will say try to breathe abdominally. That's always better. But just to give you an example, so here's my bookshelf. Instead of just, going here and thoughtlessly grabbing a book, what I'm going to do is inhale or exhale, in other words, coordinate it with my breathing. And you can do that any way you wish. There is no right, there is no wrong. So I want you to get that through your head. It's a very deeply relaxing thing to do. So go try that, and you're on your way to combining energy and spirit. This is going to, over time, make a serious difference in your immune system. You'll stop catching all those colds that I referred to. You'll stop feeling so overwhelmed. And yeah, keep going to the gym. There we go. I'm Dr. Symeon Rodger. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.